Topeka, Kansas raised Antwayn Hopper's journey to Broadway has been filled with guidance, love, and determination. From choreographing dance numbers in middle school and being a member of a Helen Hawker Theater Hospitality Committee to graduating from Carnegie Mellon University and being a member of recently awarded Pulitzer Prize winning musical, Antwayn bears the Topeka, Kansas name wherever he goes. He continues to credit the Midwest and its community for where he has been and where he is headed. One of his most recent accomplishments is being part of the Pulitzer Prize winning cast of A Strange Loop. It secured this year's Pulitzer Prize for drama. The off-Broadway musical by Michael R. Jackson debuted at Playwright Horizons last year. The musical sits in good company with such winners as Hamilton, Fairview, Cost of Living, and Sweat. Even when Antwayn talks about what it's like to be part of a Pulitzer-winning musical, he references his roots. And full disclosure, Antwayn and I went to high school together at Topeka West, where we studied under Mr. Doug Goheen and Mrs. Nancy Epic, among others. We performed and we sang together in Topeka West players and various choirs. So thank you for being here, Antwayn. We're so excited to talk with you and to hear about your journey from Kansas to New York and your life as a professional actor. So right off the bat, Libby says hi and Adam says hi. So
hi Libby. Hi Adam. I love you both. Hello everybody. Hello
and Michael.
Hi Lawrence.
Michael says hi.
Hi Michael.
All right, so Antwayn, this is hilarious that we are on Zoom and doing Facebook Live. Thanks so much again for doing this. So first, I just wanted, I was wondering if you could give our Facebook audience a brief explanation of kind of where you're at right now, your physical location in New York.
I am in Manhattan, New York, at home. Currently right now, I am in Astoria, New York. I am at a dear friend's house. I wanted to come over and film from here because, I mean, like, can you get any better than this? Look at this, come on, paradise. But no, I live in Manhattan, near Columbus Circle, and that's where I resided for the past year. And before that, I was in the Bronx for some time. And then when I first moved here, I was in Manhattan in Midtown. So it's always been New York after graduation for the past 12 years.
Thank you. So what's your acting life like right now? I mean, we've all, it's been a crazy couple of months. And so I just wanted to kind of get a concept of where you're at right now. And a lot has happened over the last few months for you, I know.
Yeah, it's quite odd. God is really moving right now for your boy. And it's so crazy because even though the theater community has been deemed closed up until January, from what I'm hearing, and our show, A Strange Loop at the Woolly Mammoth that we're doing, we were supposed to do it literally now, and it got pushed to November, and now it's March 2021 in DC. And so you're now literally, as an actor, doing self-tapes. But now those self-tapes are actually called readings. And in fact, I got invited to do a reading, which will be taking place on the 24th of June here in New York, but we're going to be Zooming it, live streaming it. And then I'm also doing a workshop with the Public Theater and Elvis Costello musical. Ooh. And so we're going to be rehearsing it. Here's the thing with that one, I'm going to be playing all the roles of the male ensemble because they realized it would just be easy with like 5 people in the chat. So I'm honored to be asked, but it's now a way of life. My agent yesterday told me that this is how it's going to be and to get used to it. So
wow. So does that mean, everything that you're doing is digital right now?
Yeah.
Like the readings, the rehearsals, everything.
Everything.
Okay. Wow, that's a big change. We're trying to get used to that too and everybody is. So, can you tell us a little bit about, I have to ask you about the Pulitzer Prize and your experience with The Strange Loop, because that's your most recent, larger thing that's happened. And so can you just tell us a little bit about that experience and your time in that show?
Well, I'm very happy to report that, yeah, Michael R. Jackson won the Pulitzer for drama, and it's A Strange Loop. It's a cast of 7, and it pretty much tells the story of our leading man, Usher, who is trying to become his authentic self in a society that tells him to behave differently. And it addresses all kinds of issues that us Black men and trans, anyone from the LGBTQ plus community encounters, namely in New York. It's a beast. It's just the first of its kind where someone like myself can actually go to a musical theater show and see yourself on the stage. And it's just hilarious. It's, emotional, but it's real life. And I got a part of that. I became a part of that in 2016, really literally as Trump was elected. Hi, Trump. And sorry. And I've been a part of it ever since. And God is good. Last summer, we had our professional debut of the show. And, this Pulitzer Prize, we didn't even know that Playwrights Horizon submitted us. We didn't know. When we found out, that's how it works. They have to be hush hush. So when we found out, we were like, what?
Whoa.
A show about Black queer people? And we're like in your face, and like, I'm not going to really talk about what it covers, but for the adults out there, it covers things that you would never, ever expect from a musical. And it's happening in real time, right before your eyes, and it's thought-provoking, and it does what theater should be able to do, and that is move.
Yeah.
And so something like this makes it all worthwhile for the little thing that I do called acting in this world. It's just a beautiful thing. And that's why I really want to make sure I reach the youth out there in Kansas and let them know to stay inspired and to know that you are very important and your community is literally 1 in a million. And I come from that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. We do have some young people tuning in, our interns, which we have 7 awesome interns for SYT this summer. And so I wanted to ask some questions maybe that could help them or, think about theater, because they all are interested in theater as career paths. And so I wanted to ask you, as far as your training, you went to Carnegie Mellon. Obviously you're from Topeka, so you have these Kansas roots in the Midwest, and you're an example. It's totally possible. You can do this. And so can you, what kind of advice would you offer to any student who hopes to have kind of a professional career and go down kind of a similar path?
Well, I'd ask them to first compile a list. And I'm repeating things that were, said to me by Nancy Epic. And this was at this time, 2001 was my sophomore year. And so if you're really thinking about going down this, pursuing this career, by the way, I'm at my friend's house who's also a professional actor. So Michael, if I'm leaving anything off this list, please feel free to join. He went to Penn State. I'm very proud of him. But some things you should think about is compiling a list of colleges. I really am huge on people being proactive. You can't literally go, now I'm at CCM. Nuh-uh, no, you're not. You still in your bedroom, and nothing's wrong with that, but you're not at CCM. So compile a list, be proactive. I literally was the first in my family, aside from my brother who went to Garden City, to go to college. My parents are looking at me like, I had list every morning. Okay, I need $50 for this application. I had about 10 colleges I applied to. And I didn't know, the degree of work that they did. God blessed me with Carnegie Mellon. I didn't know, but I'm realizing more and more, it is about going to, I hate to say it, a conservatory or a very, very high class university that has a great music theater or theater department that really cares about fostering the youth. It can be brand new, but one thing that I'm realizing that I tell people is, I hate to say this, but make sure they have a showcase. A showcase is an introduction into the professional world in New York, and for Carnegie Mellon, it's New York and LA. I didn't know this. And at the time, we were like one of 3 colleges that did it. So in May of my senior year, I walked away with a manager and an agent. But my thing to high school students is to also, if you're in Lawrence, go out to Kansas City, do master classes. If you find out that one's going on, go to what is it called? Backstage. They have them regionally. Go to the equity, non-equity auditions, really be proactive if this is something you want to do. Also, if you're not sure if it's something you want to do, look at liberal arts colleges like Penn State, right? You can double major, right? Or no, in musical theater and another degree. Look at things like that. That's something I actually kind of wished I would have, because right now I'm thinking about getting a master's in psychology. And so set yourself up, be realistic. It's a very competitive field. And just because you were Dorothy in your middle school production doesn't mean you're going to walk into Elphaba on Broadway tomorrow. You have to work at it. And I was blessed enough to have a community around me that gave me dance lessons privately, voice lessons, acting. I didn't know what I was getting, but I'm thinking now that I look back, I was in my own Interlochen. I was in the high school performing arts, which was created by my community.
Right. And driven by you. And that's what I mean, above all, I just, I think it's important for people to know how driven you are. You're so driven, and you always have been as a personality, even in high school. And so the work ethic that you have, I have no doubt is one of the top reasons why, you are in New York and working as an actor. So I want people to know that, because it's a really important aspect. Thank you. So as I start asking more questions, Facebook audience, you are free to chat questions if you have any, and I'll just keep asking mine as well. Hey, Antwayn,
Yes.
So I know you've done TV.
Yes.
I know you've done film, and I know you've done stage.
Yes.
So, back in high school, you really did theater only. Like, how did you come about that? I don't even know that, I think.
How did I come about theater, or
how did you come about doing film and TV in particular? And how did you choose what to do when you were first starting out?
Well, I will say also, when I speak, you all, I'm speaking from someone who has the desire in their heart to be a leading man or a leading woman. I'm not going to knock at all ensemble roles. I started out in the ensemble, dancing in the ensemble. I started out at Helen Hawker Theater, dancing and singing, and it takes all of us to make a musical. I just want to preface that. I believe in going and reaching for the star, or in this case, the light. I believe it. So that when I speak to you, I just want you guys to know that I'm speaking to you as if you want to get that Tony Award, which we all are capable of doing. I was able to walk into TV and film because I got an agent and a manager. And a part of the thing, about being an actor nowadays is that you have to be versatile. And I think that is a lot of my frustration, because I feel like the society, we are, yay, high-fiving non-versatile actors. Meryl Streep is a perfect example of a versatile actor. She was of the theater, and most of our great screen actors are of the theater. I was lucky enough for when I did The Nick with Steven Soderbergh, it was said that he wanted to work with the best New York stage actors. So I garnered somehow an audition, and I was actually surprised, because being a stage actor is very hard to work on camera, because your expressions are big and you're feeling it and you're showing that you feel it. But then on film, you have to drop everything, and it has to be here. The story has to be hot on the front of the brain, and you have to drop every intention and keep your eyes, so it's real life. And when I heard that, it was a nice thing. It was a nice welcome, and we were all stage actors. So the reason, or the way I was able to, do the film and the TV and the theater is because, it's expected kind of now. It's crazy. When I first moved here, it wasn't really, but now if you think about it, a lot of your favorite television actors are of the stage. And
Mhm.
so we get a lot of auditions, and I was just blessed enough to get that one, and the same with the movie and the guest stars. It's just a blessing.
Yeah, I think I remember going to see you in New York and going to see Hair on Broadway when you were in it.
Yes.
And I remember there being one of the leads was an American Idol star. And I just remember the big shift in our culture that happened, especially like television, film, it all kind of shifted at that moment. So you have really been a part of this big shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is the most valuable thing that you possess that has helped you continue on? Like you as a person, you're on this path and you've been on this path for years now. So what's the driving force? I mean, what is it about your art or where you're at that you continue to do it?
Well, it's so funny that Cecily and Libby are here, and you're here, Elizabeth, and my brother, Michael, all my family's here. Hi, Maury. Um, we all have a purpose, just like you have a purpose, Elizabeth, to lead a beautiful theater, and you're doing an amazing job. In this day and age, and in these few months of quarantine, you're faced to face yourself. And I thank God that He's blessed me with people like you and the beautiful people I mentioned and others, because we all have purpose. And when you're blessed enough and poised enough to actually have your purpose shown to you and to go with that purpose, all things will happen and shut down just for you to recite your story and someone to go, what? And it's like, I know, I don't know, it just happened. And that's what's going on right now. A Pulitzer? What? It just honestly, it just happened. And this is all letting me know that I'm doing my purpose. And that purpose is to do what I'm doing now and to love on my community and to uplift and to speak with a hot, heated tongue, the discipline of what it is I do professionally, and to bring the respect to the art form that many of us love, and to speak honestly about it, but also to add heart and to tell anyone and everyone that wants to do it, you can do it, and hopefully help them in achieving their goal. But it's a purpose, and I thank God for it.
Thank you. So how your acting life, that is your life, is acting. Are there any other things that you do or enjoy? Do you have hobbies? Or, a lot of students are wondering, what are those other things that might encompass your life as a person in New York that's working so hard on auditions and, your resume, your bio, you're just selling yourself all the time. Like, what are those other things?
I want to be honest and say when I first moved here, all it was about for me for the first 4 or 5 years was acting. So much to the point where I realized in college, in a conservatory, which can be a downside, you can get lost in a conservatory where you don't read the paper and you don't know what's going on in the news. You're just so driven, like, oh, they're doing that show. Who got that? Oh, he did? Oh, is this him? This is him? Oh, hi. I mean, fast forward, and I'm like 25 and never had a date or anything. I didn't even know, like, if I'm not working, what am I going to do with my time? So I've started hobbies like cooking. I love to cook. Journaling. So my thing to people is figure out your hobby, figure out something that you love. I love to minister to people, whether it's, religious based or just uplifting someone. I'm realizing I like to volunteer. I'm realizing I like to make an impact on a community or just one person. And I'm impatient with seeing the results. So I like to see it happen in front of me. Like, even if it's you eating my cookie, eat it now, because I want to see the joy.
Like instant results.
Instant.
I feel that way too. We have a couple questions from our Facebook audience. So there's a couple. Mr. Doug Goheen, hi Doug Goheen, wants to know if A Strange Loop will resume when Broadway reopens.
So we have plans for we have plans for Woolly Mammoth Theater in Washington, D.C., March 2021. That will be, I would like to say, an out-of-town tryout. And we don't have any plans for Broadway at this point. So right now we're just focused on Woolly Mammoth, and that's a go right now. We're figuring out negotiations as we speak.
Great, thank you. Spencer wants to know about agents. So how do you get an agent? Like, what's the process of getting an agent?
Okay, well, there's, it depends on the way you go. I'm going to give you two examples. One way is going through a conservatory that actually does showcase, or some kind of showcase of talent, some kind of thing where you do a monologue or you sing for a group of agents or producers or managers who are looking to sign new talent. If you go that route, that's literally like a year of class, but long story short, treat it like you treat going after a college. Make a list, figure out which coast you want to work on. Maybe you want to make that decision based upon which coast gives you more, as we call it in acting, fever or favor. And then you want to go with that. For me, I knew I wanted to do New York, so I focused on New York, and I was able to meet with agents. Literally, I did my showcase, and the following week, I kept the whole week open in New York, and I met with agents and managers, and by the end of that week, I had about a list of about 6 people I knew I'd work with. And the good thing about Carnegie is that we try to get our showcase out there first. So we're out there with Yale graduates and Juilliard. So people are like, and the good thing is that they don't sing, we sing. You know, they're grad actors. So then the agents want to hear that. So they're strategic. Now, if you don't go that route, what I would suggest is just like how you go, what I told you to go on Equity or a Backstage, go literally Google New York City agents or LA agents and figure out what it is you want to do, whether it's musical theater, acting, commercial, voiceover talent. Figure out, and like I said, I like to go for the stars. So like I would go after a big agency like Abrams Artist or William Morris or Innovative Artists, but know these agents' names like you would know cast and directors and producers, have them at the tip of your tongue. Write them daily or weekly like I did, email them, send your headshot, your resume, have a cover letter, a nice manila envelope, and have a courier. Is it carrier or courier service that delivers it? He doesn't even know. But have a service, sorry, Doug Goheen, English. Have a service man deliver it for you, or call them and like make good with the receptionist. Hey, you like strawberry cake? I'm gonna drop some off in my headshot and resume, and I'd like to meet with the agents. You have to be like that. You really do. It sounds funny, but I can't tell you at my age now how many of my friends don't have an agent, and that's fine, but I just don't see it for them in New York without an agent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You mentioned like coast, like which coast you choose, like the fever or you mentioned like the fever or flavor?
Well, when I said the fever, I meant which coast favors you more? Which coast do you get the most fever?
Got it.
You know,
okay.
the most attention. We call it fever.
Okay. That's awesome. I thought that was some inside term, and I was like, I want to know that term.
Fever.
Fever. Okay. Jessica wants to know what have been your biggest struggles? What have you struggled with when you're in New York?
Well, you know, you struggle with missing your family and your friends. It's very lonely. It's a different beast than the Midwest. And I didn't know that. I literally came here the day after I heard Bill Cosby. Oh God, why did I say his name? He was our commencement speaker, and now it's just gone the other. But anyway,
A lot has changed since then.
I came after we graduated, and I just didn't realize what I had signed up for. And thank God for Mrs. Epic, because she knew and she was right there for me. And because of her, I was able to stay. But I became homesick, and you got to have tough skin. It's not hard out here. It's just like anywhere else, but you have to have energy. You have to be creative. And honestly, like, I think the only thing and the only reason that has kept me here is that I am about the work. And I know that I have a talent, and I know I have something to say, and I'm not here to pussyfoot around. And when I walk into a room, I think they go, okay. And that's a blessing, because there's a lot of people here playing around. And that is one of my biggest pet peeves. I take this serious. It's not fun and games. And you know what I mean? This is our livelihood. And some of us actually have respect for this. It's not a game. If you're going to come out here, be serious, get focused, create a base, a community. I thank God for my Topeka friends, my friends out in Lawrence. You guys are my community. And that keeps me sane, because you really have to have something to balance the crazy that we call acting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for answering that. We have a few more questions, so I'm just going to keep asking you. Jessica also wants to know, how do you connect with the characters that you play? And you mentioned being interested in psychology too.
Yes.
That had something to do with it.
Yeah, Michael and I were just talking about what an actor does to prepare, and we all have different processes. What really works for me, and it seems to be the language that speaks to a lot of people pursuing acting, is character work, scene study, script analysis. Why are you there? Making it, like I said earlier, hot on the front of your brain is what we say at Carnegie. Hot on the front of your brain in a scene. So you're connected, you're heated, you're hot with intensity, you're in the moment, you're going off the breath with the audience. It's alive, it's beautiful. And yeah. I think if you make the story real and as simple as you can, but as specific, not complex, which you can, but I like to break it down, you will never fail.
It sounds like you get into the head of that person. You are really in it, as opposed to seeing it from a distance. And you're talking about specificity and all the detail work that goes into building that character, of research, of understanding who that person is through script analysis, through all of those things. Great. Mr. Doug Goheen wants to know if you can talk about living in arts subsidized housing.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing. I live in art work, Mr. Goheen, subsidized housing, and it's throughout New York City. It's through Breaking Ground, which is a beautiful organization. I will say New York is we have to be the front runners when it comes to thinking about your artists, because we do have Broadway here in New York, and it is a huge moneymaker, and they take care of us. And they know that we can't work. Like, I've not been on Broadway for 10 years. Hair was 10 years ago. And they will take care of us. They recognize that. And they also know that, no shade if you don't have money or whatever, but they know that a lot of us, we're not trash. I just can't get another job because I have to audition. And I really want a nice place to live. So they have buildings where they call 80-20, 80% is regular and then 20 is subsidized. And it's a blessing, and they're nice high-rise buildings. I live right across the street from CBS on the top floor with a balcony. And the rent, it's fixed. And I'm blessed where I can bring in as much as I can bring in, but my rent will always stay fixed. And that is a blessing, because as we're living right now, we don't know what tomorrow may bring. And I don't know what I would do. And I can't tell you how many friends I have that are paying mortgages that can't get unemployment, that are screwed right now.
Yeah. Thank goodness for that. Thank you.
Sad.
Sally Glassman. Hi, Sally Glassman.
Sally!
Sally
And the 5, 6,
Glassman.
7, 8.
She has a question. She wants to know when and what style your last dance class was.
Oh gosh. Oh, okay. I took my first dance class. This is awful. I took my first dance class in 10 years in February with Fred Mann, who is Cheetah Rivera's best friend. And he was the dance captain of the original Chicago on Broadway. If you Google him, his name is Fred, Fredmann. And when you see his pictures, I don't need to say anything more, but it was definitely all that jazz. And I didn't probably walk for a good 3 days after that. And it reminded me that I'm very competitive with myself. Sally, Doug, you know this. And if I don't feel like I did a good job, then I'm pouting. So I'm still pouting, but I plan on returning to some dance classes at Ailey once we open. But that is something I need to do. You're right, Sally.
Thank you. We have a question from a student. Amelia is one of our interns, and so she's wondering, outside of the showcase that you did, what are some other positives for going to a school that's conservatory based?
Well, it actually depends on where you go. Can I just say this? Growing up, I really wanted to go to a dance school. There's such things as dance schools, and I'm going to break it down a little bit. Like if you had 3 schools, Carnegie Mellon, University of Michigan, and Cincinnati Conservatory of Music, and you had 3 categories, dance, singing, and acting. Hi, New York, if you're watching, this is not shade. Carnegie Mellon is the acting, University of Michigan is voice, and CCM is dance. So that's where you think, Michael's making me laugh. Nothing's wrong with that. What I'm saying is that for the long run, you want to think about how you're going to stay in the game, because you can't dance on Broadway 8 times a week on a slanted stage until you're like, come on, Cheetah Rivera is a freak of nature, and luckily she can sing and act. You really have to think, and this is why I want to talk to the high school students. What do you want to do? Nothing's wrong with dancing. I'm just saying, be realistic, because like for Carnegie Mellon, they make sure you learn acting. I learned Stanislavski, the method, Meisner training. I was a music theater major. I learned this freshman year. Restoration, Jacobean, Shakespeare. I surprised, you know what I mean? Like sword fighting, stage combat, jazz, tap, dance, but everything that we learned was acting, actor driven. Mm-hmm. Dancing, you're acting. Like what is your intention? Singing, what are we thinking about right now? Even clown work, why are you sad? Wow, clown work on Othello, huh? Sophomore year? And we're gonna sing, we're making it a musical? And then, at Carnegie, you don't step foot on the stage until your junior year. You have to learn, they strip you of all your old habits. My habit is that I'm bigger than life because I come from Helen Hawker, and that's not bad, but we had to speak. We had to speak to the back row, and we were throwing things, and that's not bad. That is a form of acting. It's heightened. And that's good, but they had to strip me down of that. And I thank God. But see, if you go to, University of Michigan, they're more vocally driven, and that's fine. But, I thank God. I really don't know where I'd be if I didn't have, the acting, honestly, and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember in high school, I was like, man, Antwayn can do all 3. And so singing and dancing was right up there. I was like, he's surely going to go to school for that. And so, man, it's crazy to see where you're at, just personally. But anyway, okay, Sally says, love you both, and yes, thank you. That's what she said.
Love you, Sally.
And then William Lucas says, congratulations, Antwayn.
Oh my gosh, hi, thank you.
we've got some more questions. I'm just gonna keep going because these are great questions, y'all.
Okay.
Okay, so Doug wants to know, what is your dream role? Or what would you have as your dream role? Do you have a dream role?
You know, oh my God. It's so crazy. We all get these little epiphanies, but the other day I just had chills come over me and I was like, oh, and I don't know what role or who it is, but I just feel like my dream role is going to be a portrayal of someone. I don't know if that answers any questions. I don't know who. You know, I was thinking Andre D. Shields, who is my theater father, and I know that there's a biopic being made. I also know there's a biopic of Alvin Ailey being made. But in terms of, okay, shows that have already been created, let's say my dream role, honestly, Othello.
Okay, put it out in the world, it might happen. All right. Spencer wants to know, what is the reality for actors between gigs? So do you have a side job? Do you have headspace between shows, or do you just jump from one thing to the next?
You know, my friend, Michael John Lewis, who's here, is blessed because his side gig turned into a very lucrative main gig, and that is that he works at the Ralph Lauren Polo Bar, which I'm not even going to talk about their client list, but he's making bank. He got lucky because my brain, I can't take an order to save my life. And I failed all the Bubba Gump restaurant tests that we had to take to become a server when I first moved. I failed them miserably. Like, I mean, like, it was to the point where they're like, stop. And I was like, okay. So, but there are little things that a lot of actors do. One of those things are catering gigs, and they're always looking to hire an actor because, you know, we're outgoing and, you know, you can really melt a crowd or whatever, and you can be, you know, hi, we're serving this and that. It's really good. The hours are like 3 to 11, so it works great with an audition schedule because normally auditions are from 10 to probably about 4 p.m. But you have to think of side gigs that happen like between the hours of 5 and 12 a.m. So for me, Bubba Gump's restaurant worked, you know, between those hours, or I have friends that do Starbucks because they actually have great they have great benefits. Currently right now, I have been blessed where the past year and a half I've not really had much downtime, so what my side gig is unemployment. But luckily it's, you know, it's been picking up. But yeah, that's another thing people should think about is like, you need to get a nice side gig hustle. Freelancing with a temp agency, it's just like anywhere. Yes, that is a plus. Even working for Google, becoming an ambassador for Google, that was something that I was looking at doing. I hear they make, you know, like 24 an hour. It's really nice. Even doing security overnight, you can study your lines. You become creative.
Awesome, thank you. Jessica says your dedication is astounding, and thank you for setting such a great example for our youth.
Thank you. Hi, Jessica. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, and then I'm going to end with a big, more serious question.
Okay.
So I hope I'm saying this name correctly. Carice
Mates.
Okay. Carice
Topeka
Mates.
West, 785 magazine in the house.
Yes. How does acting give you personal power?
You get personal power. Well, I get it from being able to change someone's mindset and mood. And I love it when when I get to witness it through sound, because you're in the scene, but you can hear I love when I have to do a big reveal in a scene. Like, da 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 da. Well, I never loved you anyway. I love that. I'm like, yes. Yes, you thought you knew what was gonna happen, but you didn't. And I said, you know, so you have power. Like, I'll wipe that smile off your face. Give me 10 minutes, audience.
That's awesome. Carice says hi. She says hi.
Hi.
What was your first gig in New York?
My first gig in New York was a show called Respect, and it was through Manhattan Theater Club, and we did it at New York Stage and Film out on the campus of Vassar, which is actually where Meryl Streep went. And it was a lot of fun, and it was the music of Stax. So, you know, the Otis Redding version of R-E-S-P-E-C-T is what we were singing, and the staple singers and I had to sing I've Been Loving You by Otis Redding. That was my audition song. That was 3 months out of school. God is good. That was June
I love
2007.
that song. That song is so awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 more questions for us, and then we're gonna say our goodbyes. Jessica wants to know, how do you stay fresh as an actor? Do you still take classes? And then, you know, what are those classes?
This is my class, talking about my experience, reminding myself why I do it, and also, like, if we were to do a real, you know, work session, which I'm hoping that we're going to schedule, Elizabeth. I would love to talk about script analysis with a group of kids or students. Through doing that, it forces you, which is one of the things at Carnegie Mellon we always had to do, presentations. We always had to do presentations weekly. And it forces you, if you can talk about what you do, then you can do what you do. So for me, what strengthens me right now is that I am looking at Bob Krakauer classes online for TV and film. He's a legendary on-camera teacher. And I am also looking at getting back into voice lessons. But, you know, one should always dance, which Alvin Ailey, which is up the street from where I live, vocal lessons, and Bob Krakauer. That's the goal for when we open. So yes, I always try to, at least once every 2 years, like how you update your headshots, you should update your, you know, your tools.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Michael John Lewis wants to know if you can speak to the Black Lives Matter movement in film and theater, and what type of discrimination hurdles you might have experienced.
Well, I'm not going to drag this out too long because Elizabeth is the boss lady, and I'm kidding. I don't want to.
No, I want to hear it.
Too much time.
I want to hear your honest everything, and we have plenty of time. So.
Well, you know, honestly, I am frozen right now, to be honest, when Black Lives Matter comes into play, because I wouldn't say it's anything that I've been taught, no more than I have learned automatically as a person of color. And in my age now, I'm finally starting to realize that the profession that I've spent so much time and work and effort chasing isn't set up for me. And that makes me go, oh my gosh, it magnifies a lot of things that is an automatic for Blacks in 2020. And as you know, I come from a military family. My dad served in 3 wars. And at 18, he went to Fort Bragg's in North Carolina and enlisted. And I was born in Wiesbaden, Germany, while my dad was in the middle of the South Korean conflict. So I was watching a documentary and Leontine Price was talking about it, and she said, they asked her, you know, she was the first opera singer. She opened the Metropolitan Opera House. I believe it was 1964. And she's a Black woman doing Aida. She just graduated from Juilliard. She couldn't have been no more than 22. And they said, how did you have the courage to make history like that? Yeah. And she said, my country called on me. Where would I be and who would I be if I can't stand to an invitation called and given to me upon my country? Yeah. And for a minute, I didn't realize that up until recently, What I did on behalf of my country, which blessed my family, which made it possible for an Antwayn Hopper to go to a Carnegie Mellon with the help and guidance of a white Jewish woman of the name of Nancy Skrzynatsky Epic, and a beautiful man by the name of Doug Goheen, who helped me on my Othello monologue audition, and Sally Glassman and the Glassmans, and the Dorothy Thomas School of Dance, and Helen Hocker and Joe Huseman. But I also realize now I can't use that as an excuse anymore. I have to dig deeper. And I can't use that I'm gay. I have to do what I do because I'm Black.
Yeah.
And even me saying that doesn't really have strength and purpose in this time and age, depending on which cop I run into.
Yeah.
And that is scary, because I don't do what I do to make me feel good just for the hell of it. I do it to impact and to hopefully spark something in someone that was sparked in me when we would see Goheen pace back and forth in Players, like obsessed with him. You remember the whole class, Nancy Epic, woo, conducting at State, doing this. Like, you're like, I love you, you love your life, and I want to be like you. I want to be happy, and I want to create like you.
Yeah.
It's sad because right now I feel alone and I'm frozen and I'm just listening. But I was on the phone with my girlfriend today and she said it right. Nothing's going to change until we have Black ownership.
Yep.
So for those young Black entrepreneurs out there and those young Black artists, forget getting a Tony. Get a Broadway theater house and let's talk.
I love it. Thank you, Antwayn. Jennifer Osborne said, beautiful testimony. Thank you so much. And Doug said, we all thank you so much for your time and talent. Elizabeth, thanks for producing. Antwayn, thank you for giving back. Love that you remember your home community and have stayed so grounded. Love you both. Continued success. It's just beautiful in all ways. So thank you, Antwayn, so much. I don't even know what to say. I think this is the perfect ending. Do you have anything coming up that people should tune into or watch for as in, coming up for you?
I am singing for my church's celebration of Juneteenth. This Sunday, actually, I'm doing the Join the Movement ceremony, and you can find that at Middle Collegiate Church here in New York. We're on YouTube, Middle Collegiate Church, legendary church. We're a beautiful church about inclusiveness and social justice. So Juneteenth is on June 19th, but this Sunday we celebrate Juneteenth, which is the ending of slavery as we know it here, so we call it, in the United States. And then I will be singing Old Man River for their Juneteenth celebration, which is going to be a national thing. And I'll have more information and I can send that to you, Elizabeth, and you can share with everyone, but that will be on June 19th. And then I am doing a reading at the end of the month, and I can also send information as that unfolds.
Please do. Yeah, we want to know, what you're doing. And I know people want to tune in. And William Lucas says, beautiful, sir. Jessica says, thank you for sharing. You are a power in the community. And I just want to say, yeah, stay tuned for other great things that Antwayn's going to do. We'll keep you updated. And that's all I've got. I love you, Antwayn. And thank you so much for doing this. And thanks everybody for tuning into Facebook Live, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.